This conference
Talk to
will
you
now
all.
be recorded.
Oh, there we go. So welcome to the first ever Tenino virtual town hall. We're going to start with introductions, and we'll just go from the left on the screen to the right. For those that just joined in, if you don't want to use your camera, I understand, but it does make for a better meeting if you do, and it's a little easier to talk to faces than to letters. But we'll try to get through it if you don't. So I'm Wayne. I'm mayor for the city of Tenino, and I'm happy to be here. Who do we have next?
I'm Linda, council member, and I'm also happy to be here.
All right, so, Jen, you're next. We're going. I don't know if everybody's letters the same as mine. From it says there we go. So Jen, you want to introduce yourself? You have to take off the microphone. There's a little red microphone button that you hit, and if you touch that, it allows you to speak to people. Oh, look, now we can see your family. Okay, next up. Oh, wow, there's another Jen.
I'm sorry. I've got two. Sorry. I'm trying to work two cameras. It's a little hectic here. Two computers. Jen Sharber. I work at City Hall. I'm just here to manage this madness.
Thank you. Next up, Ms. Barnes.
Hi, I'm Rana, and I work for Tenino City Hall. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Rana. LM. Lynn Martin, would you like to introduce yourself, Lynn?
Hello?
There we go, there we go.
I don't know if you can see me.
No,
I don't.
we can hear you, though.
I have no idea how to work this. I just a citizen at large here in Tenino, downtown.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Next person to introduce, we got some people that are joining on a little later. We're just doing introductions. Miss Jenny Hall, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm here with two nonprofits, Tenino Young at Heart Theater and a brand new nonprofit, Tenino Arts.
Oh, cool. Maybe we can take some time and you can tell us about those. George and I met with Mr. Mackenzie Sullivan a couple weeks ago. Young at Heart Theater is very important to Tenino.
We're really excited, and we just want to connect more and have everybody know about us and grow. So
cool.
We're excited.
Donna, would you like to introduce yourself? You got to turn off the mute button. There you go.
Okay. Hi, Donna Taylor Mayo. I'm glass artist down on 599 Sussex.
Awesome. Linda? I'll do it for her. Hi, I'm Linda Godovac, and I'm Mayor Pro Tem, and I'm joining the, is that what you're going to say? It says you're talking, but you have to, there you go.
I thought I already said I was Linda Godovac with the city council, but okay.
We're just going down the line. You can leave your mic off since you're one of the presenters if you want. George Sharp, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is George Sharp. I work for the Thurston Economic Development Council as a rural program manager. I also support the Tenino Area Chamber of Commerce, and I also support the City of Tenino as their creative district manager.
Thank you, sir. And Miss Cheryl Pierce.
Yes, Cheryl Pierce with the Sandstone Cafe.
And the new chamber president.
Oh, yes, the new chamber president.
Can't leave that out. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us. So Linda, you're my co-presenter. So if you want to leave your mic off, and then you can just shoot in and you can butt in anytime you want. We don't want to just listen to Wayne talk the whole time. First topic, COVID-19. It's been a weird, strange year. Tenino hasn't really, as soon as there was a pandemic declared, we did declare a state of emergency, which we are still in. That did a couple things that mostly just kind of streamline some processes to where if something had to be done quickly in an emergency, the mayor would have more executive authority to spend money for just for those specific purposes that had to play into the pandemic. But as far as making rules and enforcing rules and anything like that, we haven't gotten into that game. But really, it's not necessarily our job or our duty, or do we have the authority? And it really hasn't been necessary. Everybody in the city of Tenino has been very voluntarily, following rules and guidelines. We've seen a lot of people just kind of roll up their sleeves and have a good attitude about some difficult things. So it's gone fairly smoothly. As everybody knows, we're now in phase 2, whatever that means now, and we're starting to get things opening back up, and that is a good thing. Masks are still required. Some people don't really appreciate that, but it's just kind of the way of the land these days. And the city of Tenino just has every intention of trying to do their best to follow the guidelines that are put out there by experts, doctors, scientists, and our government, whether you agree with them or not. It is not my belief that it is our job to try and buck the system. If you want to do that as an individual, go right ahead. But we, as your representative government, we're not here to take chances with your government like that. Are there any questions about the way that we've handled the COVID-19 pandemic, or any thoughts? Or I get plenty of emails. I get anybody? Okay, we just had another person join on titled JP. JP, would you like to introduce yourself to the group? I don't know what's going on with that one. Okay, hearing no comments. Linda, do you have anything to speak on with regard to COVID-19, the city's response, where we're at, where we've been, where we're going?
I think that it's been handled very, very well, very professionally. And I believe that the COVID money that was produced by the city did help people that needed it at the time. And the money was spent here in Tenino at our businesses. So.
George, can you speak to the last round of CARES Act grants that went out to local businesses?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The city and the chamber worked together with the EDC to actually contact the businesses in Tenino and then have them apply for it. And $40,000 went out to Tenino area businesses. That was from the city of Tenino's CARES Act money.
Thank you. Thank you, George. George worked very hard on that with the Chamber of Commerce. We couldn't have done that without him. And I think it's just one of many examples why Tenino's partnership with the EDC is so important for our success. And we should all keep that in mind. Wooden money. So we made a big splash kind of early on in the pandemic when we decided to fire up our old letterpress and start making our own money. And we got a lot of attention. The city set aside $10,000 initially to back that money. It really only costs about $300 to actually make the physical money. And then we put $10,000 into a bank account to back it in case people brought it in to redeem it. We have distributed all of the wooden money at this point, all $10,000 worth of $25 bills. They've provided a tremendous amount of relief for a lot of people throughout the emergency. At this point, I don't think we're going to be producing more. The impacts it may have had on the city budget are absolutely none. So like I said, all we did was put $10,000 into a fund to say that it was there to back it. Hardly anybody really came in and brought the wooden money back to redeem it. Some people did, but we also received $6,000 to $10,000 in donations from all over the world to supplement that fund. So we've actually, we've made a little bit of money, not very much, maybe $4,000 or $5,000 in that program. There's no way to put a value on the marketing and the advertising that we've received from it, as the city's name has, floated around the world, dozens and dozens of times. It has not only helped the individual citizens and businesses in Tenino, but I think there are other benefits, and kind of providing hope, showing the community what it means to band together and do something for themselves and take initiative. And not only for our city to show that, but it showed it for cities all over the world. And we literally have seen communities from all over the world start up their own microcurrency programs and start up things that are similar, and and be very honest and tell us that Tenino inspired that. There's new civics textbooks being produced in Japan that tell Tenino's story in them, and that's an amazing thing. And then the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History contacted us earlier this week and has asked us to present some of our wooden money to the Museum of American History, which that is an insane honor. It's literally the premier museum of U.S. history in the country, saying that what Tenino has done is worthy of preserving for forever. And they feel that it is a mark on our nation's history that should be remembered and studied. So it's a thing that's going to have continued impact. It's a thing that is tied to our history because we've done it once before, and we were able to dust it off again and re-enliven that idea and make it a part of our history again. And it's been an exciting thing to be a part of, and it's been pretty cool. Linda, do you have anything to add on that whole experiment fiasco?
I don't think it would have ever happened if it hadn't been for you, Wayne. I know it was your idea, and I know that you pushed it, and you've done many, many interviews, and it's just, I think it's been a great, great experience.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thanks, Linda. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that program? Okay. City Hall renovations. So if you drive by City Hall, you'll see that a lot of the roof is tore off, and they're working on it. So we received a direct grant, a direct allotment of about $500,000 from the Washington State Legislature in the state capital budget about 2 years ago. Jen, stop making faces. And so like 2 years ago, we received about $500,000 to renovate City Hall. It was an exciting thing to go for, and there were a lot of senators and representatives that really appreciated the fact that we were in there asking for money to renovate an antique or a building, while most cities are coming in and asking for $15 million to build a brand new one. Our pitch was, no, we want $500,000, and we want to renovate this thing and make sure that it's preserved and healthy and able to be used for another 100 years. In Tenino, we have several historic buildings, and we care very much about them, and we want to take care of them. When we initially were worried about the roof, and we weren't sure exactly what was going on. There were some things that we saw not lining up. When the contractors got chosen and they first got in there, they tore into the roof, and there was what looked like a hip kind of in the roof, and it was something that we thought maybe was naturally supposed to be there, but what looked like a hip was actually a roof collapse. And so a back portion of the roof had fallen in, I want to say around 6-7 inches, and so the roof was failing. So we received this money just in time to save the building, and they've started that. It's going to be full renovations. starting from the outside because the shell needs to be preserved more than anything. Full new roof, and then the sandstone's going to get treated, tucked, sealed. We've had issues with water infiltration over the years, and we're gonna end that. New windows. If you look at like the soffits and the windows, there is some dry rot, but this is a building that was reconstructed there in 1932. And then we're gonna change some things around inside. You know, updates, new lighting, new walls, new floors. So we can get quite a bit done for $500,000, and we're really excited about that because, like we said, it's going to pay dividends for years. You know, we're happily comfortable in there as our city hall, and I think we can stay there for quite a while longer. And that building's not going to go anywhere, not in our lifetimes. Linda, anything you have to add regarding the city hall renovation?
I just think it's very, very important for everybody in the city to understand what it took to get that grant from the capital budget from the state of Washington. It took a lot of legwork and it took a lot of talking to the senators and the representatives, and it was all done. And
It's true.
okay.
Yep, we try to do a good job keeping up good relations with our state representatives so that when it comes time for asking for help, that we don't, you know, they don't even question it. And we've been successful with that. We've had a lot of really successful lobbying sessions where we've been able to, you know, gather millions of dollars for the city and for the community. And Linda's a big part of that. Linda is our legislative liaison, and she keeps us abreast of any and all things going on at the Hill that's going to affect the city. So we try to do a good job keeping track of those things. Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments regarding City Hall's renovations? We explained where the money's coming from. We explained why. We explained where we're at and what our vision is. So the next two kind of fall in line with that. Quarry pool renovations. So the quarry pool, which did not open last year due to the pandemic, is completely, well, the deep side's not completely sucked down dry, but it's pretty dry. And we've torn up the way that thing was made. It was, you know, it was built, it wasn't engineered. It was built by like the townsfolk in like the 60s, 50s, 60s. And there is a sandstone slab, right? And folks just went in there and just poured concrete down. It was all unreinforced masonry, just laying down on there. So over time, because, you know, you've got this big lake on this side, and then you've got the kiddie pool on this side. The kiddie pool consists of a concrete slab laying on top of the sandstone. As the water in the lake side comes up, it goes underneath and in between the concrete and the sandstone, and it was causing the concrete shell that made up the kiddie pool to lift. And so you could go in there and you could see 6-7 inches of concrete lifting out from the hydrostatic pressure from the other side. And it was grossly inefficient the way it was made. It was made, you know, when it was done in the 50s, 60s, water was free. Now water is a very hot commodity, and we have to be careful with how we use it and preserve it. And so the way that pool was managed and flushed, we had, you know, several million gallons in the kiddie pool that sometimes twice a month had to be completely drained out and pumped back in. And when we drained out the kiddie pool, the, you know, 60 million gallon lake on the other side had to be emptied down like 6 feet as well, so the hydrostatic pressure didn't blow out that shell, that concrete shell. So it was millions and millions of gallons of water every month just being flushed down the drain. So, you know, we wanted to tackle that problem to help preserve our water, conserve water, and be more mindful of how the water is used. And we also wanted to modernize it. And the kiddie pool was huge, is bigger than we needed. So we're going to eat up some of that space and make a seating deck for parents and make it to where it's more accessible for people of different abilities, and then add in water features. So, you know, like you go to a water park and you'll see these splash features and play toys inside the pool. We're going to have all that, and it's really exciting. And once it gets started, it's going to happen very quickly. We've been assured by our engineers and contractors that it can be done by the swimming season. Hopefully this year there will be a swimming season, and we think we're poised to have a very good reopening that could be in conjunction with the whole world kind of being allowed to go and have fun again. So we're really looking forward to that, and we think we can market the heck out of it and make it a huge attraction for Tenino. Linda?
And where did that money come from?
That money came from a community development block grant that the city received a few years ago. And so this is not money out of the city budget. We've got a few different coffers that we can go to for specific projects. So everybody, you know, I know people get frustrated about the road in front of their house, but there are easier access coffers of money that we can get to for a project like City Hall, a project like the pool, a project like the quarry house that we cannot use for roads. And you know, it's unfortunate, but you know, when you're selling an idea to to a legislator, you've really got, you know, it's hard to sell. I want money for the road, and you know, over here, it doesn't really work that way. There is other pots of money, and we'll talk about that when we get to road projects where we are doing some road improvements. It's not going to happen as fast as people want, and everybody's always very hyper specific about where they want the road fixed. They want it where they drive, not where, you know, the city necessarily has deemed the road to be worse. But the money for the quarry pool renovation came from a community development block grant, and we're really excited to keep that going. The quarry house renovation, everybody's familiar with the quarry house, I hope. That is our kind of our community center. It's where the Lions Club meets. It's where the senior citizens eat their lunches, and it's a great space, but it's underutilized. It's needed modernization for my lifetime, and we're finally getting to that. We're adding some commercial amenities to the kitchen that will allow it to be used for different applications. Our hope is that the Meals on Wheels, the senior citizen meals, will make us their hub, and they're looking like they want to do that, which will increase our ability to help out our seniors and get food to them. And then we also want to do a better job as a city in having, like, you know, I don't know if recreational amenities is the thing to use, but we want to be able to host community classes and have a space where, you know, we signed up Medic One to do a monthly CPR class there. We've had people that want to teach how to can food. You could have people teaching how to knit, how to make quilts, you know, all kinds of things that we can come through, cooking classes, things like that. We want to start doing more community events on, you know, on a small, like, kind of programmatic scale. And by doing this renovation, we'll be able to do that, as well as make it nicer for things like weddings and other events, family reunions, holidays. The quarry house renovation money is also coming from community development block grant funds. And I want to say it's around $350,000 that we've got to put into the quarry house. And it's another building that we really look forward to ensuring that it will be healthy and usable for, you know, several generations to come.
I'd like to stress that I didn't realize how many people rented the quarry house until we were no longer able to rent it. And I had people calling me at home and at work wanting to know how they go about renting the quarry house. So, and if it's fixed up the way it's going to be, it's a good moneymaker for the city.
Yeah, and it's an affordable space too. You know, we keep the rates really low. If you look at event spaces, even, you know, in the city of Lacey or something like that, ours are, you know, they are much more, hundreds and hundreds of dollars more than we charge. And we like doing that. You know, we're not out trying to make a ton of money. We're trying to be reasonable, and we know that it's a space that our citizens really appreciate. So we want to take care of it. Does anybody have any questions on that?
What's the square footage for the quarry house?
You know, that I don't, off the top of my head, I want to say about 1,300 square feet, but that might be a little high.
That sounds about right, though. Maybe about 1,200.
And do you have prices for renting it someplace?
Yeah.
Is there a quarry house page?
Yeah, on our website. Rana, do you recall what the rates are?
It is $85 for a deposit or $100 deposit. And then it's $100 to rent all day, $85 for half a day.
Oh, that is very reasonable.
Oh yeah, that's so low. If you
Okay.
want to go to one of those Lacey, you know, Lacey has a couple, their Parks and Recs department, and you know, you're talking $400 or $500. George, you could probably attest to that.
Yeah, no,
Minimum
that's
of
great.
$500 a day.
What's that?
Minimum of $500 a day on a lot of places.
Yeah, and you can't even book them out. Yeah, so we're really proud that we can offer that to our community, and it's cool, and I really look forward to having it look much sharper than it has. There was somebody else had gone green on here. Was there another question about the quarry house? Mindy, did you click on? Okay. Caboose. So I don't know if everybody's familiar with our caboose project, but I want to say about 2 years ago, we purchased a caboose, Great Northern Railroad caboose that was being used privately as an office at a shopping center in Bothell. Bought it online. You know, we had visited it. I had not visited. Some of the folks from Public Works had gone and seen it. But we purchased it online. One of our stated goals, one of the things that I had said that I planned on and intended on doing for the city when I ran for office was that I wanted to get something on the railroad tracks in front of the Depot Museum, and we thought that a caboose was going to be a really good idea. Everybody loves a steam engine, but the steam engines are very, very, very expensive. So that, you know, that was not in the cards. But you can find cabooses. Yeah, I think is it cabooses? I don't know how you say it, plural. Hey, Aslan. But we found it online. You can find some of these. It was in okay shape, but not great shape. A lot of it had been kind of, the historicity had been lost over the years as it had been renovated. So we got it down here, and we lucked out, found a friend, a former coworker of mine that is like a savant when it comes to many things. The guy is one of the most skilled carpenters and craftsmen I've ever met. And he also has an insane love of trains. And, you know, from the history to the construction to, you know, he could probably tell you the names of the engineers on certain rail lines in like 1919 that were going down the pass. And he has taken this caboose and it made it a labor of love. And he has stripped it down to the bare bones. It is a frame up restoration, and he has handmade the windows, the doors, the rivets, like, you know, where the, you know, specific, he milled the lumber himself to match the original blueprints. And then when it comes to like the nails, he's even like made these fasteners out of, you know, doing like metal work. And it is, there's no way we could ever pay for anything to be done like is being done. And he's doing it quickly. He and another gentleman named Jan. And they're fascinating to watch. They're fascinating to listen to. They were just, we funded this through the Thurston County Heritage Grant Program, where the city can receive up to $10,000 a year from the Historic Commission. And so, like I said, with these other pots of money that are out there, we try to have projects ongoing so that when these monies come up, we've already got something to throw it into. There were, kind of the first couple of years I would get towards, and initially I was the one writing these grants and kind of finding these grants, and we would get time and I would be in a mad rush to find a project, and I'd have to come up with something and sometimes even make something up to even get the money. And so now we've gotten in front of the ball, and we will have projects either in the works or on the shelf where we're ready when the grant comes up. And so like this one, we've got it there essentially, because it's a great thing to do, but then also with it being there, it gives us the ability to put money into it. So we got, we've gotten $20,000 from the county Historic Grant Commission. And then thanks to Don Bowman, his daughter Jane, and the Park Foundation of Thurston County, we just got another $5,000 from the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad. The city does put money into it a little bit, mostly in it's like labor, where we would have public works employees helping, or moving things or doing things like that. But by and large, it's been funded from outside sources, and that's our intention. But even the 30, 40,000 that we've put into it is nothing compared to the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours that Don Bowman has put into it for free. So, if there was a price tag to be put on what Don Bowman has done, this would be, we'd be looking at $170,000, $180,000 project right now, which is cool. This is going to be his legacy, and I look forward to it being done and us celebrating him and the caboose at the same time. Linda, do you have any?
No, I think we have to figure out what we're going to use it for. I'd love to see I don't know, bed and breakfast or something there. That would be great.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, it's a showpiece. And I don't, if nothing else is done, it's just like the Tickner School, or it's a showpiece. It's an example for everybody to see what a 1920s caboose was. And this was actually one that went up and down the line here through Tenino. And so it helps tell a story within our museum complex, which is expanding. We've got a log pavilion in there that tells the story of logging in the area. We've got a doctor's office in there that tells the story of Dr. Wickman and how he conducted his business back in the day. And now we can add this caboose, and inside it we can have displays on railroad things, and that in itself is attractive to a lot of people. Rail fans are a real thing, and they are some of them are zealots, and they will travel from all around to watch trains go by. I was meeting with, we have a small group of rail fans that will meet just outside of Tenino. I'm pointing to it behind me. If you go down Old 99, there's like a dirt kind of turnaround, like a pull off. And sometimes you'll see 7, 8 cars parked there. And these guys are just sitting there and they're watching the trains go by. And I've gone and I've hung out with them because I want to learn about who they are and what they do. And they know how many cars are on each train. They know by the time and the style of it, what it's hauling, where it's hauling them from, how they switch. They'll talk about how these guys switched out certain cars to even the load, and they'll have apps up where they're watching other rail yards all around the country and how those interconnect with. It's a very fascinating subject, and I think it's just one more that we can appeal to as a destination community. They've even asked if we would add in a camera The city has some property where Welcome to Tenino waterfall is. There's kind of they've talked about wanting us to, that's our property, wanting us to put a platform in with a camera to allow people from all over the world to watch trains just through Tenino. And they were showing me one that they had put in, I think in California, and middle of the day, nothing going on. There was like 35,000 people tuned in to that camera trains, and they sell advertising, you know. So there's a very interesting like niche community that is like bananas for that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's kind of fun, kind of fascinating. What do we do with the caboose? I mean, we could, you know, we'll figure that out and we'll debate that. But right now we're just letting Don do whatever the heck he wants. Any questions? When the COVID hit, those guys at the Tenino Road, when the COVID hit, those guys at the Tenino Railroad tracks were all 6 feet apart in chairs in front of their vehicles. It was like, yeah, they are. They're good people, and they're very responsible, respectful people. One of the guys is Chief Robert Scott from Rochester, who I've known my whole career since I was a little kid, and he's a very sharp guy. And if you get a chance to go and meet him, even if you're not in trains, I like anytime I can listen to somebody talk about something that knows way too much about it. And it's pretty interesting. And those guys are like that. Road improvements. So, you know, roads are tough. I don't like the subject. It's no fun. It's a constant battle. So, you know, it is difficult to, like, you know, put money and, like, you know, really grab a hold of and get a handle on something that is constantly deteriorating by its nature, right? We use them, and as we use them, we're destroying them. If they're not built right, you know, and none of them really are. Not just in our community, but all over the place as techniques have evolved. And, you know, when we talk about digging into our roads, just going down a couple inches, you end up going back, you know, to the 1930s when, you know, things were very different. And so the construction and the layers, and then who owns what, you know, we have in the city of Tenino, we have city roads, we also have county road property, and we have state road property. And anytime we do anything, we've got those worlds all intersect. And then, like I said, constantly putting money into something that's being destroyed, it is tough, but we do try to stay on top of it. There isn't a lot of money out there in the world for these infrastructure projects. You know, we see it everywhere. You know, our country's it's got a lot of these things that are just deteriorating. Initially, and I don't want to delve into presidential politics, but initially with the previous president's administration, there was one thing that we were told to be excited about from our planners and from TRPC. It was, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with the 45th president, but he is saying that there is going to be a bunch of money for roads and bridges. And so we were like, all right, you know, we are going to take advantage of that. Those opportunities never came, and that money never showed up anywhere. So, you know, while we were poised and ready and looking for it, the federal money never materialized. Here we are, you know, 2021. We do have one sizable road project coming up. So every year we do a 6-year, or every couple of years we do a 6-year street plan that prioritizes our biggest and our worst roads. Our top one for quite a while, within, you know, our top one that we can afford has been tackling Ritter Street, which is the road that goes by it goes off of Main Street by Jackpot down to the park. And it's you know, it's narrow, it's holey, and it's falling apart. We're giving that thing a full tear down rebuild. We have money coming in from it's like the Transportation Improvement Board, I believe, and we're gonna tackle that one. And that's as far as things going as they are. That's going to be a big accomplishment. We have talked about coming up with ways internally to develop funds, to develop our street fund. We've talked about instituting a transportation benefit district, which would do a modest increase to the sales tax and bring us in, another 40,000 a year, which doesn't fix a road, but may give us seed money for grants. The thought behind justifying placing it on a sales tax is that, property taxes are what fund most of the city, and all of the property tax money comes from solely the citizens of Tenino. The roads are not just used solely by the citizens of Tenino. So it is kind of unfair that everyone gets the benefit of Tenino's roads, and we the citizens of Tenino are the only ones paying for it. So the thought is it makes sense to add a modest increase to the sales tax. We already have one of the lowest sales taxes in the state. So adding a little bit of change to that would garner us a little bit of money, and it would spread the costs outside the community. So people that are coming into Tenino using our roads, shopping at the supermarket, going to Don Juan's, going to Joyce's boutique, they would also be helping fund our roads a little bit if we did that transportation benefit district. Now, we were going to do that in 2020, and we held off. We were going to put it on a ballot in the spring of last year, but when the pandemic hit and things looked like they might start getting tight and a recession was in the works, we just we pumped the brakes on any new tax initiatives. Linda, do you have anything to add? There's also a sidewalk project that is going to be done in 2022. That money is coming from the county, and that sidewalk project would be around Hodgdon and Sussex on the south end. So if you look at like around the old True Value and the post office, those sidewalks are garbage. And so we are going to hit those. That's what we're calling phase 1 of our sidewalk improvement program. Phase 2 would march it down towards the historic downtown. Linda, I see you're green now. Did you have anything?
Yes, because I lost my microphone. That's why. Anybody who knows me knows that I am been fighting for new sidewalks and improved roads since I came on the council. But I do want to say one thing. I want to give kudos to Troy, Cannon, and the Public Works guys. They work so hard trying to keep all the potholes filled and take care of our streets. 2 years ago today, we had a major storm in this area. And I work in Olympia during the legislative session. I had no problem at all getting around in Tenino, but when I got to Olympia, you could not drive down their streets. You couldn't get in any parking lots because their streets and roads were not plowed. Ours were. So I want to thank Troy and the crew for the hard work they put in.
Thank you. Good point. Is there anyone in the public that would like to ask comments or make comments or ask questions about our plans for our roads? Cheryl?
Wayne? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So you guys you kind of already have the plans to possibly do an increase on sales tax. What are we looking at?
I think like the maximum allowable was like, I don't know, it was like half a cent or something like that. It was something like so minuscule.
Uh-huh.
But I don't have that information in front of me, but there is a cap. It was not, it wasn't anything that you'd notice in a bill or anything like that.
Okay. And I may have missed this, maybe you said it, but so is there plans to maybe reinstate that or put that to some sort of vote?
We would bring it up again, maybe this spring, just kind of depending on how things are going. Like I said, with people having fears of recession and being very tax sensitive, it's just not a good time to bring those kind of things up.
Sure.
When we did our ad valorem tax levy this last year, and we're doing virtually the same thing that we've done every year, where we go, we lift that lid back up to where it needs to be. People were very sensitive. And when we said that we saw a 14% increase in tax revenue, people started hitting their alarm bells and telling each other that we were increasing their taxes 14%, which
Sure.
those are two completely different things. The tax increase, the revenue increase, that just means the city brought in more money. The city brought in more money because there's 30 new houses. There was more money being spent. Commerce was up. So seeing that revenue increase was a good thing. That was a result of all of our collective hard work. But what had actually happened is, and I think it was even like a small decrease in property taxes and just misunderstanding. So we're going to be very cautious of approaching any type of tax initiative.
Come see why there is a lot to love this night at Fort Road in Marysville, with a giant collection of.
Is that somebody talking or is that a TV? Okay. All right. Next item, park playground. If anybody has driven by the park, you will see that a giant tree fell into our playground equipment. It's very unfortunate, but with any crisis, there's always some opportunity. So that playground equipment was older and it was it was nice, but it was 25 years old. So it's going to give us a chance to go to our insurance company and say, hey, our equipment's damaged, we need it replaced. If they were to just give us the replacement value of that equipment that is there, it would still be difficult for us to replace that equipment there. The way it was put in might have been okay 25, 30 years ago, but we can't just replace that and keep it the way it is. The soft fall wood chips that we use are out of compliance with kind of modern practices, and it looks like that playground is below sea level because half the year it's about 6 inches underwater. There's no drainage. It is not accessible for people that may have difficulty getting around. If you can't walk on uneven ground, if you're in a wheelchair, things like that, you're not going to be able to safely use that area. So for us to fix the playground, it means we're going to have to do a big renovation. We would ideally, and we've already got plans in the works for this, we've already drawn this all up. So like I was saying, we used to not have these things readily available because the city council and planning commission and the administration worked hard, over the last 4 years developing a park master plan. And we now have that just sitting on the shelf, and we were able to pull that right off and say, all right, for us to do all the things that we need to do, it's going to be $488,000.37. And we're able to say we want to move the playground to higher ground and somewhere that's more visible from the road for parents. We want to put in drainage. We want to put in proper toys and things that are ADA accessible. We want to put in proper, footing that is going to be able for people of different abilities to walk around. And, we want equitable toys and equipment that everybody can play on. So not just a climbing gym. We also want something that, somebody in, a walker could roll up to and play. So, they would include things like musical equipment. It would include things like exercise equipment for adults on the exterior. So say, you take your kid to the park and they want to go in and play with their sibling on the toys. And, one of the parents or the caretakers, they can hop on a recumbent bike on the outside of the playground and get in 20, 30 minutes of cardio while their kids play. So, we feel like we're going to get some money back for the replacement of the equipment, maybe $60,000, $70,000. But we have also gone to our newly elected state representative, Peter Abarno, who is vice chair of the Capital Budget Committee. And we've given him a request to pass on to the state for $500,000 to help us construct this. So if we get what we asked, and then we get some of the insurance money, we'll be sitting very pretty to replace the playground equipment, not just as it is, but as it should be, and maybe even more than as it should be. We will replace it as like we would dream it to be. This could be one of the biggest, best park playgrounds in the entire county. And if you look at you look at the region, our park is huge. And as far as South Thurston County goes, North Lewis County, if you look at the population densities from our park on out, it serves a lot of people. And so as we make an improvement to that, and it's going to be a major improvement, and as we make a major improvement to the quarry house and a major improvement to the pool, we will have a park that is a massive draw. We've always been saying this, that park is an economic engine for our community, but it is going to be given some steroids in the next year. And so we're really, really excited about that. Linda, did you have anything to add?
I believe that the only way we can go is up with the park. It's already, you go by there any time of the day and you see cars parked there, and I know they're using the trailhead and they're using the path, from Yelm to Tenino, walking their dogs, but there's people in the park all the time. Even in the wintertime, I see cars with people in the park.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really ties into our economic vision, our economic plan. And, we've done a lot to kind of develop the corridors to and from the park and the downtown. And we've seen this all pay off. It is all working greatly, and it's only going to get better. We've spent a lot of time laying the foundation for these improvements that we're talking about, and now we're at the point where it seems like we're always ready to jump and execute on an opportunity. So this was the one where we've been able to do that really quickly, and it's good. It's good to be able to respond to problems and turn a disaster into something that is an asset. We went over city budget. I glossed over that one. We didn't talk about it. The city budget, it is, we saw some modest decreases in sales tax, nothing big. Over the last 7 years, we'd seen a steady increase in property taxes and sales taxes. So those revenue streams have been growing, and while they've done that, we've been careful not to just commit that money to places. So as we saw this small decrease in sales tax revenue, we're not right now this year in this budget for 2021 feeling a big hit. Some of that was mitigated by a lot of building, and we saw a lot more in building permit fees and new construction. But if we have to be careful, because as time goes on, if we don't see the sales tax revenue bounce back, it's gonna cause us to get a little more anemic. So we're trying to be cautious of that. When we get to the septage receiving, I can talk about some of our efforts to find other revenue streams. But as of right now, the city budget is not in a bad place. And so if there are any questions regarding the city budget, where it's at, how we're able to do what we're doing, now is your time to mic up and throw the questions at us. All right. Staffing. So we've had a couple changes in staffing. One, namely, is our city clerk treasurer resigned. He found a position elsewhere, actually where he was actually planning on moving in Nevada. And so when a job became available there, he quickly jumped on it as the new city clerk treasurer of Winnemucca, Nevada. And so that position was vacated right around Christmas time. And we are currently, there's an application period open, and we are accepting applications. However, I believe that we need to kind of circle our wagons and look at the job description and the pay. And it is, in my belief, underpaid. And so for us to be competitive and find a candidate that meets the qualifications and the needs of the city, we're gonna have to add some money to that position. The clerk treasurer position is a department head, just like the police chief and just like the public works director. However, they're more of also like the nucleus for the city, and they serve as a conduit from the mayor to a lot of the other staff. So they kind of serve as a chief of staff at times as well. And that needs to be recognized, and that needs to be institutionalized. And so it is my hope that we can take a look at the budget and we can add some funds and then recast our net for the city clerk treasurer position. And with a little more money, find somebody that will meet our needs and that we can retain for a while. Currently, we have somebody sitting in as the interim or the temporary city clerk treasurer. This gentleman, he comes to us after a long career with the state. He is a CPA. He has a bachelor's of science in accounting, and he has a lot of auditing history. And right now we feel like those are skills that we could benefit from having in that seat for a little bit as we look over some things and, kind of reevaluate the city budget. He's doing a good job right now. He has the support of his wife, who just retired as Rainier's city clerk. So anything that he doesn't know, she knows after, 30 some years at the city of Rainier as their clerk treasurer. And he's supported by Jen and Rana at City Hall. So things are continuing to move forward, and we're not dropping too many balls, but it's going to be a couple months before we really get back up to full speed again. That would be after we replace or after we rehire for that full-time city clerk treasurer. Linda, anything on that note?
Well, it's just an ongoing process, and there's really not a lot to say. I do agree, though, that we do need to up the budget a little bit to try and get somebody that's really qualified in to take care of the financial end of it and the clerking. It's a huge job.
Yeah, it's tough because it's really, being a clerk treasurer, you're really doing that really is two jobs. And Tenino's are we're getting to where it needs to sometime, maybe in the near future, those duties need to be bifurcated, and there needs to be a city clerk, and then there needs to be a finance director, because those are two very different disciplines. And anytime you mix things together, like who uses a spork, right? You don't go and like, I want a spork, because a spork is a horrible knife, it's a horrible spoon, and it's a horrible fork. You want a spoon or you want a fork. So, I mean, that's I think that makes sense. Nobody's laughing, I can't tell. I thought that was funny. No? All right. You guys are a great audience. I'll be here all
You don't know if we're laughing or not because we can't hear us.
I know. Let's see, Lemon Hill development potential. So the Alpacas of America property is I believe everybody's familiar with that. You know, you go west to Tenino, there's that big prairie, and there's, you know, used to have a bunch of alpacas on it. A portion of that has been purchased by a local investor, and they are putting in an equestrian center, which is very exciting. So if you look where that big blue barn is and all those other barns were, there is now going to be a very nice high-end equestrian center. Of that property, there's some property to the west of it that goes up into the treed area, and the Department of Fish and Wildlife, Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife is looking at purchasing that and creating a state park, which is very complementary to the equestrian center and to Tenino, and to our vision of, you know, keeping it rural. And we're excited to have outdoor recreation space just outside of our city. So that we feel is complementary to our vision and our goals. And then Lemon Hill, which is the hillside that you see when you're standing in Tenino looking west, or if you're at Alpacas of America, it is the hillside to the east of the alpaca farm. That's known as Lemon Hill. And that portion of the alpaca farm is there's like 350 acres that are slated to be developed. And so there would be houses put there, and there are some very serious interested buyers, developers that I believe are in contract. I was supposed to be meeting with them tomorrow, but this weather has kind of put a hit on a bunch of my meetings, and they are looking at adding residences. Exactly how many, I don't know, but I've heard speculation as many as 300 to 350 homes. Water is an issue, but there are water rights associated with that property that would be used. So it wouldn't, you know, if you consider what Tenino has right now for water rights, I want to say we have like 350, 400 ERUs available to us that could be used for infill or commercial development. We're going to improve on that when we make these changes to the quarry pool and we do a few other things. But if you were to add 300 houses to the city overnight, all of a sudden our water would be gone. You know, our legal ability to use water would be gone. So when they add in when Lemon Hill comes in and gets developed, they bring their own water rights with them, and it would be a boon for Tenino. You know, that is a lot more houses in a community of I want to say like 700 homes. Adding 350 is a lot, but there is for many reasons, one being it's private property and whoever buys it can do whatever they want with it within the letter of the law, and then also one of our main complaints from our constituents is their water bills are too high. And that happened when our wastewater treatment plant was built out with the vision of around 300-400 more homes. I'll get to that question in a second, Donna. So that wastewater treatment plant was built out with the vision of 300-400 more homes. So there is a bunch of, so it was built out, it was very expensive, and in the financing plan to cover the debts, it had written in speculation that those additional homes would occur and those additional hookups would occur. Those never happened. So instead of those homes that were built into the finance plan out of speculation, instead of those coming in and helping keep the water bill costs down, those costs were then put on to the ratepayers that already exist. So, our bill is higher than it should. but it's due to the financial planning and build out of the wastewater treatment plant. So there is potential that those additional hookups could help mitigate that cost and drive down that cost. I mean, we're not talking about going back. Part of the problem was before the wastewater treatment plant, people paid $30 a month for their water bill. There was no sewer bill. You added on that sewer bill, and all of a sudden now people have $150 a month bills. We're never going to go back to $30 a month water bills. It's not going to happen. But those additional hookups, there is potential that it could drive it down, $10, $15 a month, maybe $20 a month, if we're lucky. So it is a scary thought to increase our residences by that much. It is good for the schools. We are like a size, our community is a size of which it is on the smaller end to where it is difficult for businesses to be sustainable. But this increase in residences and in citizens, I think gets us to like a sweet spot where we can be sustainable and have our own businesses and our own jobs. And we're, with the ag park going in, we're creating a lot more jobs. So there's gonna need to be places to live. This pandemic has taught people that they don't need to live in Seattle. And there's been a lot of things that have gone on in Seattle and Olympia and where in Tacoma that are making people not want to live there anymore. So it is making a place like Tenino more attractive, and you're seeing it in our home prices. When these small little homes in Tenino, their going price is now $350,000, $375,000. Cheryl, you could probably speak to this better than anybody, but prices are crazy right now, and it's an availability issue. It's a supply issue. The demand is greater. So these homes, if they go in, they would be sold, they would be housed, and it could be good for the city. All right, we had a question from the audience. Donna Taylor Mayo, would the city determine how many homes that could be developed on Lemon Hill? Kind of. So there are land development regulations that the city has some of them that exist, that are in the city's purview, and then some of them are in the state's purview. Some of them are in federal, Fish and Wildlife's purview. But all these codes and rules come together to determine, where, how, and if a house can go there. So it's not always necessarily the city's decision how many houses can go somewhere or where they can be there. There's best practices that we have to follow. Does that answer your question, Donna?
I'm wondering if the planning commission might have more information for Donna on that. Maybe we could find out a little something.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dan Penrose, he could definitely speak to it, but it's not something that's come before the planning commission yet, except for they could talk about what the plans are for that land. This land is zoned this. This land is zoned single family residential, and within the single family residential zone, we allow for one house per half acre, and the house needs to have a setback of this, that, and the other thing. And those things already exist, but there has been no plot, there's no like development plan or land plot that has been presented to the council or to the planning commission yet. But when those things do happen, just like out at Hidden Meadows, the developer would have a plan that is presented to the planning commission, and you drive by these developments and you see a big board that is put up, and it shows you all the things that are being proposed, and then on that board it'll say public hearings are going to take place on such and such a date. This is how you weigh in, this is how you provide thoughts. Jam a lot of homes into a and that's kind of that is the trend with, urban development is they want greater densities. They want, that is the trend. They want to get, people, situated in cities. In cities, you're not going to have a full acre and a half and a horse on it. That's just not the way cities are designed or put in to be. So, if you look at, like that South Tumwater development, I forget what it's called. Oh, my battery's low. Hold on.
Hey, I think that's my battery, not your battery.
All right, I'm plugged back in. Cheryl, are you talking?
The preserve.
The preserve,
South
yeah. You
Tumwater.
look at that, the preserve. It looks, that modern development looks different than they would have built houses in 1930, 1940. And there are parts of Tenino that are like that. So I wouldn't expect any development to look any different than whatever the modern standard practice is right now. But as the process goes forward, if you have opinions, thoughts, concerns, there's a lot of public process built into those things. And so watch our website as you drive by, look at the billboards that are put up, and look for opportunity to weigh in on that. Why does it say my PC battery is low, but my battery says fully charged, but then it says oh, that's your battery, Jen. Hey, Jen. Now she's frozen. Okay. Is everybody there? The organizer experiencing technical difficulty.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, Jen needs to plug her computer in. Plug your computer in.
Maybe you might talk a little bit about the ag park while you're waiting.
Let's see, Jen's saying something. Let's see, she said, oh, she said, all right, you back, Jen? Okay, next, did anybody have any questions about development or Lemon Hill? Okay, we're gonna move on to Hidden Meadows. So Hidden Meadows development is the newest development in Tenino. Mr. Doug Bloom put it together, and it's all the units are sold and they're on the last couple houses. Take a drive through it. There's about 30 some new homes. They did a very good job. It's just east of Miami Acres. The school district chimed in on the ability to include 300 homes. The school district looks forward to those new kids and new residents. The school district licks its chops at that kind of opportunity. Other potential development. There is a dentist office being built. So if you drive by Thriftway, Dave's Marketplace, what's it called these days? IGA, Market Fresh, I think. If you drive by there and you're heading east on Sussex, and if you have Scotty B's to your left, and you look, there's a vacant lot, not the one that is the big vacant lot, but the next one with the trees on it. A dentist office is being put in there. And then speaking of Scotty B's, that is, as far as I understand, being leveled and the owners of the property that Market Fresh is on, and Don Juan's and Edward Jones, that's all the Daves, two gentlemen named Dave own that. Are planning on constructing a card lock gas station. So it'd be much like you would see at Safeway, where there's not really a little quickie mart. There is just gas pumps, and you go and you swipe your card and you get gas. So I believe that is still the intention, and so you can anticipate that. I'm getting a message here from, oh, Ronna just said she's back. Any questions on that potential development? Wastewater treatment plant, septage receiving. So our wastewater treatment plant is it's the building that you see as you exit town, as you're going towards Rochester. That's where all the biosolids get piped and processed and treated. There's a lot to it. It's really a fascinating thing to understand and have to figure out and deal with. But it's an MBR basin wastewater treatment plant thing. I don't understand all of it, but as the water, it's mostly water, and the solids, they go through these series of filtration systems, these screens, and the water and the solids get separated. The water gets treated and turned back into water. It's called Class A water. It's non-potable. It's not for drinking. You can technically drink it, and it's really cleaner than the water out of your tap. But I'm not going to drink it. But I sneak it into City Hall every once in a while, and I put it in their water bottles, and they've never even noticed. But that was a joke. Then the solids go into this lagoon, and they have sat there, and we have accumulated biosolids for over 10 years, and we've been able to hold that capacity. This last year we started hauling it out. It is expensive to haul out, so after it sits in that sludge pond, it will decompose and get eaten up bacteria, but it doesn't all go away, right? So that the leftovers from that decomposition process, we have to come up with things to do to it. Ultimately, we'd like to get to a place where we can compost it on site, and we would be taking the biosolids from the lagoon, mixing it with like carbon-based products, lawn clippings, leaves, things of that nature, and then you pump air into the bottom of it and filter and push air up through it and turn it, and you get a rapid decomposition process that will convert it from a Class B solid into where it's no longer considered a biosolid. It's just considered like a soil amenity, and it becomes a very good, very nutrient-rich product that we could then just give away to the public or anybody that wants it. And they do this at some other facilities, and people just come in with their trucks and they get loaded up with this compost, and then they use it for farming, they use it for their lawns and things like that, and it's completely safe and it works. We're not at that place yet, but that's where we dream of being. We want to have a system that is a completely closed, sustainable system where we're not having to pay to have our waste hauled off somewhere else. And if we can get to that place, it'll save us costs on having to have it trucked out and stored and treated somewhere else. But we're not there yet. We're getting there. We're working on in kind of phases. Where we are at right now is we are going to open up a new line at the sewer treatment plant, a new process line where septage receiving trucks, so sewer septic trucks, the ones that come to your houses in the county and pump out your septic tanks, they would be able to come to our treatment plant and offload their product. And it's roughly around, they get up to around 800 gallons. And they would come in and they would pay us for us to take their product, because they can't just go dump it out anywhere. And we're in a good position market-wise to be able to be very affordable for the septic trucks and make a considerable amount of money for the city. We built or had fabricated these screens and like a sluice box and a station where the septic trucks can now come in, back up, offload their product, pay the city. We've done some studies, and we've had estimates that the city can generate as much as $2 million a year from these septic receiving trucks. That money mainly has to stay within the wastewater treatment plant budget. When it comes to utilities, they're called proprietary funds, and in Washington State, they have to be segregated and they have to operate as an individual business, like on their own. And so you cannot take utility money and throw it in the general fund. What we will do, however, and this makes perfect sense, because there's wear and tear from these trucks on the roads. There's other costs that the general fund will have to bear because of this process, and we will mitigate that through putting excise tax on the money that we're bringing in through the septic receiving project. And that money can go into the general fund and help kind of shore things up there and create an additional revenue stream. It will also create a new revenue stream for the wastewater treatment plant that could possibly help pay down debts. Those are the debts that are, being borne or being pushed on to the citizens, but it's our collective debts as a community. It's not the city foisting these debts onto the citizens. It's our community's debt. And also, there's increased staffing needs when we bring that on. So there's potential for jobs, and then helping maintain that plant. We're very excited about this, and we are on the cusp of launching it. We're now in the process of reviewing contracts and ensuring that is ready. And Linda, did you have anything to add?
Not on this. I'm just excited to get it going so that we can bring in that money.
Okay, let me see if Aslan is going to zoom back in. Okay, that brings us to Ag Park. I'm not, I imagine a lot of people are familiar with this, but I'm sure not everyone. This has been a project going on in concept, at least, for about 6-7 years. And at that time, there was a number of us that just started trying to, figure out, decide, talk about what we could do to boost the economy of Tenino and what Tenino's strengths and weaknesses were. We all knew that Tenino was at one point. Sorry, one of my tops is now open. Oh, he's Aslan's jumping in between meetings. We all knew that at one time Tenino was a sandstone boomtown, but sandstone is no longer our chief commodity. For various reasons. The building industry doesn't need it for building stone anymore. It's a decorative thing, and it's no longer mined here. The Marinakis Rock Center does not mine the stuff. But we do support our stone cutting community as artisans and as a part of our cultural heritage, and we're really big into that. But that's not going to employ 100 people. Logging was once a big thing. It's still a part of our local economy, but it's not near the king that it was. So what was left? There was always agriculture was here, and it was kind of a sleeper. And so kicking around how to support the ag community and local ag producers, one of the things that seemed apparent is that you can be an ag producer, but unless you're of a certain scale and sophistication, all you can really do is sell it at a roadside stand or a farmer's market. It's very hard to grow a product and see it end up in a hospital cafeteria or in a supermarket or shipped to somewhere else. And the reasons for that are many, and a lot of it has to do with process and regulation. So we set out with the vision that we would create an industrial park that would support the agricultural community, and we wanted to create those facilities that would allow small ag producers to be able to be competitive. So if you are a farmer that grows, and I always say cabbage, I don't know why, if you're a farmer that grows cabbage, you can grow as much cabbage as you want, but unless you have the ability to wash it, box it, pack it, market it, ship it all on your farm, and those are all very sophisticated things, you're not going to be able to do that. So we wanted to bridge that gap and put public money into the milieu that would get a farmer the ability to get their product to market. So that concept has evolved into what is now being called the Agricultural and Innovation Park. And we have housed that right next to the wastewater treatment plant for good reason. One, that the city owned a bunch of property there. And the other, that we also envision it as a part of a, kind of a joint campus where things like that compost could come into play, and the reclaimed water, because water is expensive. And if you've got an agricultural facility or some type of warehouse, you need water. It doesn't necessarily need to be drinking water, but you may need water for irrigate, for watering things or cleaning things. And so we have the property. We have gone so far as we got like, I don't know, $600,000-$700,000 from the state to extend city water and sewer lines that once ended at the Scatter Creek Bridge. And we dragged them with that money from the state all the way out to the Miles Sand and Gravel parking lot, or not parking lot, but driveway. And then we got them to stub in a little bit into the ag park property. And then we extended the purple pipe, which is that Class A water, from the wastewater treatment plant on and across the ag property. And that's big for us. That was a lot of work. We now have another $2.1 million that we're sitting on that is slated to build the first building. Aslan Mead was with us earlier, and he might jump in at any moment, but he's also on the farm board's meeting at the same time. But he could tell you that there's several interested parties in being in the ag park. Some of them are very exciting. They're all exciting, but some of them are very exciting, and they could bring in 60, 70 jobs that are good paying, and create some industry in Tenino, something that we have lacked for probably 40 years. I would say since the mill burned down, we really haven't had a big employer other than the supermarket. So there is a tremendous amount of potential there. And we feel that the administration and the city council has done a good job with these concepts and these visions and these projects to ensure that they are within the tastes and expectations of the community, and that they are complementary to the community, and ultimately going to make us much more prosperous as a collective. Linda, do you have anything about the ag park?
I'm just really, really excited about it. None of us want a big box store here. And if we can have something like the ag park that is going to support our agriculture and allow smaller businesses to come in, and I'm very, very excited about it.
There's one here.
Sir.
The chamber is going to actually host an ag park at the forum next week at noon, and people will be able to log in and pay attention to that and listen to Aslan and David Farrell to give an update on what the ag park project is doing and what the next steps are.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
I'd like
That-
George to say a little
Go ahead.
something about the creative district and what plans we have in the near future.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember Godovak. The Creative District got certified back in July by the Washington State Arts Commission. The purpose is to bring together the creative industries around Tenino and the creative people who work together. And the next step is that there's actually an Arts Commission, which is Art, Recreation, Culture, and Heritage Commission. It's a 5-member commission that's of the city, and we're actually having people apply for that commission now. You can find more information about that and how to apply on the city's website. In partnership, the Creative District with Tenino Arts and the Chamber of Commerce, there's going to be a Tenino Spring Art event on the weekend of March 19th, 20th, and 21st. And that'll be taking place at what's now called the Kodiak Room, which was previously called the Vault. And so we're excited for that and the partnership that has been put together with Donna Taylor Melo and Jenny Hall with the Tenino Arts and the Chamber.
You guys have done an excellent job. And that winter event was phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to what you guys come up with in March.
Well, the Tenino Holiday Market was a huge success.
Yes.
The other item of that is that we are working with the city, the chamber's working with the city for actually paving the parking lot behind the Sandstone building, Sandstone Cafe. The city got a $26,400 grant for that. The chamber's helping match that grant. And we're in the process of what the design would look like for that. And then we'll be going out for bid of how do we get that paved. Thank you, Linda.
Thank
All
you,
right.
George.
Now, there was somebody in the public earlier that was, I see Bob's on here, but there was somebody else that was also saying that they were from Young at Heart and then another committee. Did we lose that person?
No,
That's Jenny
I'm
Hall.
still here. I wear 2 hats now with Tenino Young at Heart and then also with Donna with the Tenino Arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Okay, that brings us to, we've got, 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes left, and we have just Q&A. So if there is anybody wants to ask questions, give us comments, this is a free form opportunity to just chop it up with city staff, EDC, myself. So don't everybody speak at once. Bob, nice to see you.
Looks like he's trying to unmute.
Yeah, it's a new, I only use Zoom, so this is new.
I don't know why we had to not use Zoom. We had to pick something different.
It's okay, I'm learning. I just want to say that I'm really excited about the Arts District. And I know TYT wants to very much be involved in that whole process because we are an arts organization.
Yeah, I mean, you should be dovetailed in there.
Yeah, and so we're working on that. And it sounds like my kids are coming up for game night. But the theater has some dreams and hopes that we're working on right now, and we're not ready to unveil them. But
have you met with Ross and Jade yet?
Ross and Jay?
Jade,
No.
the Kodiak Room. So the new owners of what was the
Oh,
vault?
not yet. No.
Okay.
Not yet. Okay. George is helping us make some contacts there, so which we really appreciate.
Okay. Yeah, the creative economy is a big deal. I mean, I think we've been in tune with that for a while now, and it's it is important. Creative, artful communities are healthy communities. They're vibrant communities, and it's just as simple as they're more interesting communities. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I recently joined the EDC's board, and I really want to bring that flavor of appreciation for the arts to the EDC board as well. And I think that Thurston County at large, should be, we are an artful community, but I really think that I don't think we hit the mark at large, and I give the Olympia economic, practitioners a hard time because Olympia thinks it's a music scene, but it's not, and it should be. And I really think there's potential for the film industry to be here. Talking with people in the film industry, things like I don't even know what they are, but they say, well, we need a sound stage. If you had a sound stage in Thurston County, you'd get movies filmed here. Okay, well, what is that? Let's get one of those. And there's got to be other opportunities. But I love what we're doing here in Tenino.
Another
And
aspect.
Mayor, go ahead, Linda.
No, go ahead, George.
We're pretty fortunate because I believe that we have a couple world-class artists already in Tenino who are helping us lead this way, and that will just attract more.
Absolutely. No, we are lucky. And we actually have some variety of different mediums. It is exciting. Linda, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say that during that holiday market with all of the artisans and the vendors, and they were all wonderful, it also helped downtown business. And I think Joyce Worrell at the Ironworks Boutique will attest to that because she had the best December she's ever had in the 10 years she's been there. So
December was the best month of her career.
Cool.
That's pretty fantastic. Pandemic be damned. Are there any other questions from the community? Jenny, Donna, Bob?
One comment, when Donna and I had just started with the artisan market in her parking lot last summer, there was a couple that came up, and they came, the woman said that she had come all the way from Texas to Tenino because she'd heard about the wooden money and all the things going on. And I was flabbergasted that she came all the way from Texas for that. And turned out her husband was stationed in Seattle, but the stories, the video about Tenino, it made its way around the country. And I think that those things are really, they need to keep going. We need to keep bumping them up. We need to keep showing them out, because Tenino is really a special place. I actually live in Rochester, but I wish you could draw your boundaries around my house because I enjoy don't tell the Rochester people I said that. But I just really appreciate the valuing of the arts and the individuals. And I've learned that through the theater, and then just with Chamber of Commerce, I met Donna, and just with all the creative aspects, it's really it's just a wonderful community. So I think you got a good thing going.
we think so too, Jenny.
Yeah.
Mayor, we're also going to have another announcement during the Chamber Forum lunch next week about the next step of helping promote the wooden money again. So watch for that announcement, everybody.
Okay. Any other questions? So, I expected, it's hard to judge what you're gonna get for a turnout from these. I really like the turnout that we have. It's great to see the art-oriented aspect of our community stepping up and taking, some leadership and participating, and we really, really need that. There's also, there's rumor stuff going around. So I imagine that there's going to be people that have questions and comments that didn't participate, that just going to kind of stay on the fringe in the shadows of the internet. But if there are any questions regarding anything, we are always available, and you can always contact myself, the staff, any of your elected representatives, and speak to them. We have been the unfortunate victims of 2 separate incidents of potential fraud, the details of which we cannot go over because they are involved in ongoing investigations. But one of which has been publicized in the newspaper. So the things that were in the newspaper can be talked about. And there is one in which we have been roped into or victims of what could be best be called a cyber scam. And I can't get into the details because it is being handled at the highest levels, in the criminal investigation world. And it is the FBI, the actual Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the federal prosecutor's office. They are looking into this. They're pouring through it with a fine-tooth comb, and this investigation goes from Tenino to Texas to possibly Nigeria and several places here and there and in between. But I think that we can all agree that having the FBI involved and them being in the know and on top of it, and it should be satisfactory to know that the city is doing its due diligence to make sure that it's going to get anybody that was involved, that they are going to be prosecuted, that if there is any possibility for recouping any lost funds, that's going to be taken care of. We do have an insurance policy that guards us against criminal acts and guards us against cyber fraud. So we believe that both of these incidences are covered under our insurance. The incidents of cyber fraud, we'll know more about that after a mediation hearing on March 3rd with our insurance company, and as far as what that coverage could look like. But we're hopeful that we'll be reimbursed for what has been lost. So the moral of the story is we have, once we identified the problem, we immediately reported it to all the appropriate agencies to the best of our ability. This isn't something that that happens in the normal course of business. So some of this, these once in a lifetime events, knock on wood, you have to figure it out while you're figuring it out. And so, once we did identify it, we did notify the state auditor's office, we notified the attorney general, we notified the state patrol, and the state patrol immediately took over the investigation, and it's ongoing. And I know very little about it, and I like to keep it that way because I'm not a detective, and I'm not the one that's going to be working with the prosecutor. And I want it to be fully investigated. Our job is to cooperate with the investigation, and we are doing that. And also, it is our job to ensure that that type of thing doesn't happen again. And we have done that. We immediately took on recommendations from the state auditor's office in how to put in some additional safeguards. And we're currently, re-reviewing our processes, especially now that we have a CPA sitting in the seat of the clerk's office, and we can go through that more. So. Are there any questions regarding those subjects? The elephants in the room, I guess, or the elephant that I expected to be in the room that wasn't here.
I think you covered it all very well, Wayne. I'm glad that you did bring it up and let people know that we are doing what is necessary to keep it from happening again.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Okay. I'm not seeing any real anybody chomping at the bit to talk anymore. Is any last final comments? George, you got anything for us before we wrap it up?
I'd like to thank you and Linda for taking leadership and holding the town hall meeting. We would like to probably do something with you, just the state of the city address and the chamber sometime in the future, April or May, when you know more
Yeah,
information.
that would be fun.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank-
Yep.
Thanks for your leadership.
Bob. Thank you, sir. Bob,
Just
Donna,
thank
Jenny.
everybody for coming.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
Thank you for joining us. All right. You guys have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.